there as long as the number is what they need.
We mentioned here Glenn Beck. We mentioned, I think, Sean Hannity. I think we may have mentioned Rush Limbaugh. And did they play a significant role in terms of the country and how they interpreted health care reform?
I think they're extremely important to conservatives, obviously, and I have a Fox News contract. I occasionally sit in for Sean Hannity, so you know where I'm coming from on this stuff. But it doesn't account for the middle flipping so strongly against this bill.
And what accounts for that?
Well, I think it's some of the factors we've already talked about. And I think one of the political theories that the administration was working on here was that the financial crisis and the sense of uncertainty created by it would create a more plastic electorate where you could push through any reforms you wanted in this moment of crisis. It may have actually done the opposite, created more caution and conservatism among the electorate. And if there's any time that you want to create a brand new, huge entitlement, this is not it.
Did the Republican Party decide when this was proposed, beyond the merits of it, this is our opportunity, as someone said, to create Barack Obama's Waterloo? Is that what happened?
I don't think they decided.
So they weren't looking for health care change, they were looking to take down the president.
Right. I don't think they decided it on day one, especially because in the Finance Committee there are always some pliable Republicans, in this case Olympia Snowe, and there were others at the outset. Right. Chuck Grassley, Max Baucus had every right, based on previous experience, to think he could bring him along. But they did eventually come to exactly the same point that Bob Dole and all the Republicans came to in 1994, which is, we are going to kill this. They did come to that line at some point.
And this other factor in terms of public perception, did the president lose the battle in part because people believe, notwithstanding what he said, that their health care coverage would be changed if this legislation passed?
That is what the polling shows. What you need is, since the majority, a very big majority, is fundamentally content, varying degrees of content with what they have, you have to make sure they're completely comfortable. They all have to feel this won't really affect me in a negative way.
Something happened so that they're not comfortable.
Yes, something made them uncomfortable. That sense of, can I really believe government isn't going to interfere in some way? And then there's this other weird side of the other side of that same coin, which is, hey, if it isn't going to affect me, what do I care?
Ezra, same question.
Certainly they believe it's going to affect them. I mean, and this was part of the original problem for healthcare reform. One of the lessons they learned from 1994 was you don't change what people have. But the other issue with that is that if you're not changing what they have, not only do they not really believe that, but then you don't have a clear benefit to sell them on. I mean, a lot of the problems in the system are problems that we all have, people who are insured, even with big companies. And so it was two problems. It wasn't just that they didn't believe that it wouldn't change what they have. It's also that there wasn't a clear message on what they would gain. So you had, something that sounded like it cost a lot of money, and they don't understand the cost controls, and they don't have a clear bill of benefits here. And that, in the end, made for a very muddy message.
Yeah, so then it comes through as just an act of altruism. It comes through as classic liberalism saying, don't worry, it's not going to affect you, but we are going to provide this other good thing for people in worse condition than you who need it. And altruism has become a very hard thing to sell.
Especially in economic times, when economic times are bad. Is that the idea?
Well, I got to say, I was intrigued by what this economic crash would do, whether it would help or hurt the conditions for the bill. I couldn't tell. And I'm not sure what it's done, frankly. Whether it would have gotten this far if things were better, I'm not sure.
You could always dissect what mistakes were made. I actually believe if Tom Daschle had been nominated before Tim Geithner, that we would have been celebrating a signing ceremony 4 months ago. He would have been confirmed, and this would have moved much more quickly. I think the one mistake that Obama made in selling this bill is that he should have focused on the areas in which people who have insurance could be left more assured that their lives would be better. That if they lost their jobs or left their jobs or got some catastrophic illness, there would be no lifetime limit, no annual limit, wouldn't be pre-existing conditions, they would be able to move from one job to another. There are many parts of this bill that you can sell to people who have insurance, and they didn't bother to do it. And there they replicated the mistake of the Clinton years. I wrote a piece in 1993 saying there's a universal definition of health care reform. Health care reform is where I pay less. And if you focus on saying you will pay more so that others pay less, you're not going to make it work. And they could have done a better job of that at an early stage using the presidential bully
But you know,
pulpit.
the truth is, the single biggest effect this legislation would have on people who already have health insurance is that it would tax their health plan. Yes, it starts in 2018, but it's very deliberately indexed, just like the AMT, the Alternative Minimum Tax, which was originally designed as a tax for millionaires and now affects middle class, it affects school teachers, all sorts of people it wasn't intended to affect. They intend very deliberately to tax healthcare plans so that the benefits are reduced. CBO on this tax doesn't say you raise the money from taxing the plan. Here's what they say happens. The insurance companies will reduce your benefits to avoid the 40% confiscatory tax, which, by the way, is the kind of tariff penalty we put on China when they misbehave. They're going to reduce your benefits so that you never pay that tax on the insurance plan. But your employer, being a generous person, having reduced your benefits, will then hand you a pay increase, and you will pay an income tax on the pay increase, and that's how we'll pay for this healthcare bill. If you want to know the interiors of CBO estimates, it's full of fantasies like that.
Go ahead.
I mean, Obama has been out there almost every day saying this is going to reduce premiums and reduce costs. It's just they're not credible promises. And Norm mentioned Tom Daschle. Very interesting. Daschle warned up front, do not do this on a strictly partisan vote, because it'll be liable to repeal. And this bill is going to have serious legitimacy problems because of the process, its unpopularity in the polls, the strictly partisan nature of the vote, which show it does not have a broad, enduring basis of support and will be a poisonous source of contention for years.
One piece we get into on the cost controls, maybe their biggest mistake was trying this. I think you see well sort of some of Lawrence's points here, right? On the one hand, the excise tax will never happen and never work, and so it won't reduce costs. On the other hand, the excise tax is a terrible tax that should scare you. And when Republicans did the prescription, and when Republicans did the prescription drug benefit, when Republicans did the prescription drug benefit in 03, they just didn't pay for it. They just didn't get into it. They put it on the deficit. They all agreed to do it, and it was easy that way. And when the Democrats tried to do all this, they opened themselves up to both people not believing them and people being afraid of them.
Exactly.
It mobilized a lot of their opposition.
Ezra, one more time, thank you very much. Ezra Klein, The Washington Post. Also, Norm Ornstein from the American Enterprise Institute, Rich Lowry from the National Review and Fox News, and Lawrence O'Donnell from MSNBC. I am pleased to have each of them here and to say that I will never suffer what Lawrence says he suffers from in this case. He knows too much.
Only this subject.